So for those of you that are following Zambian politics, so currently we've got a situation in Zambia and things are not really going so well because we've got this man here, the president incumbent, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, that is being challenged by this man here, Mr. Brian Mundubile. And we've just been told that the counting has actually been suspended on grounds that there is actually violence. But if you look at the reports, if you look at what's currently happening from several media outlets, there's currently no violence. So right now, if you actually look at what's currently happening from different media reports, we've not seen any sort of violence, all across the country or stuff like that. Everything seems to be very peaceful. And even the president's own team, just a few days ago, he was actually saying that everything is very peaceful. So this is a surprise to say that they want to suspend the counting for at least 24 hours until things calm down. But if some of you guys, if you've got any links or any footage of any violence happening, it would be nice to hear about that particular violence. So in the meantime, take a listen to what Mr. Brian Mundubile, the man that is actually saying has won it, is beat Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has to say. Take a listen to this video right here.
Fellow Zambians, we have noted with profound concern the statement issued by the Electoral Commission of Zambia announcing the national suspension of the counting and announcement of election results, reportedly on account of incidents of violence and threats against electoral officials. We condemn this decision in the strongest possible terms. At this critical moment in our country's democratic process, the duty of the Electoral Commission of Zambia is to protect the vote, secure electoral materials, and ensure that counting, tallying, verification, and announcement of results proceed transparently and without unnecessary interruption. Suspending these processes across the entire country creates a dangerous vacuum at precisely the moment when the integrity of the election requires the greatest protection. We therefore appeal directly to international election observer missions, the church, civil society organizations, the diplomatic community, regional bodies, and all institutions committed to democracy and constitutional governance to urgently take note of what is happening in Zambia and to demand transparency and accountability in the handling of the results. The incidents of intimidation, violence, and disruption witnessed during this electoral process cannot simply be viewed in isolation. We have serious grounds for concern that the widespread intimidation surrounding this election is being orchestrated and exploited by elements associated with the state in an attempt to interfere with the democratic will of the Zambian people. We further believe that the suspension creates precisely the circumstances that benefit the UPND at a time when the results being received from across the country indicate that the ruling party has suffered significant electoral setbacks. It is our position that the UPND knows that it has lost this election, and that the interruption of the counting and results process creates an unacceptable opportunity for interference with the people's verdict. These are grave allegations, and for that very reason, they demand independent scrutiny, maximum transparency, and the immediate preservation of all electoral records and materials. The ECZ cannot allow allegations of violence in particular districts to become justification for suspending the democratic process throughout the Republic. Where criminal acts have occurred, the law enforcement agencies must protect electoral officials, securing polling stations and totaling centers, investigate offenses, and ensure that the counting process continues. The answer to electoral violence cannot be to stop counting the votes of millions of peaceful Zambians. Every ballot box must remain secured. Every ballot must remain accounted for. Every polling station result must be preserved. every Gen 20 form and other statutory electoral records must be protected against alteration, removal, substitution, or destruction. Party agents, accredited observers, and monitors must continue to have meaningful access to the counting, tally, and verification process. We particularly call upon international and domestic observers not to withdraw from the polling stations, totaling centers, or other electoral facilities during the suspension. Their presence is now more important than ever. Electoral materials must not be left beyond independent observation during this period. We call upon the ECZ to clearly disclose the following. 1. The specific districts and incidents upon which its decisions is based. The measures being taken to secure ballot boxes, Gen 20 forms, and all electoral records during the suspension. The legal and operational justification for imposing a nationwide suspension rather than addressing affected locations individually. The persons and institutions that will have custody of electoral materials during the suspension, and the precise arrangements and timetable for the immediate resumption of counting, tally, verification, and announcement of results. We further call upon African Union, SADC, COMESA, international observer missions, diplomatic missions, the Council of Churches in Zambia, the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Law Association of Zambia, civil society organizations to remain actively engaged and to insist that Zambia's electoral process is concluded transparently, lawfully, and peacefully. The security services must remember that their allegiance is to the Constitution and the Republic of Zambia, not to any political party or individual. They must protect voters, electoral officials, candidates, observers, and electoral materials impartially. State institutions must never become instruments for determining political outcomes. We equally appeal to all our supporters and to every Zambian, regardless of political affiliation, to remain peaceful and disciplined. Do not respond to provocation with violence. Do not interfere with electoral officials or electoral materials. Protecting the vote means protecting the law and allowing the true will of the people to emerge through a transparent process. Zambia belongs to all of us. An election does not belong to the government, the opposition, the ECZ, or the security services. It belongs to the people. Once citizens have spoken through the ballot box, nobody has the right to silence, rewrite, or substitute their verdict. We therefore demand the immediate resumption of counting, tallying, and verification and announcement of results, accompanied by full access for political party agents, accredited observers and monitors, and appropriate security for electoral officials and materials. The international community and all election observers in Zambia, this is the moment when your presence matters the most. We ask you to remain vigilant, document every development, and help ensure that the electoral process is allowed to reach its lawful conclusion without manipulation, intimidation, or interference. The sovereign will of the Zambian people must prevail. Countrymen and women, this is very, very important, both to the Zambian people and indeed the observer missions. The reports reaching us are very disturbing and of great concern. The position as it stands is that at every polling station, Gen 20 forms were filled and signed. And in many cases, these Gen 20 forms are out there in public domain. It is therefore surprising that some officials from the Electoral Commission of Zambia have issued instructions to suspend the issuance of Gen 20 forms and instead have recalled all those forms for reasons that are only known to themselves. I must repeat that the Electoral Commission of Zambia should therefore come out clean and clear the minds of the Zambian people by disclosing the reasons for which they would want to recall the Gen 20 forms through the council secretaries. Or they should refute this report that they've actually called for the Gen 20 forms, so that we know. If by any chance this report is inaccurate, we call upon the ECZ to issue a statement